Hello, YouTube. It's Lefty79 once again here with you for another edition of the NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show after week 3. So these games wrapped up last week, Wednesday. A little bit late on this edition, but I'm going to have another one for week 4, probably before the weekend, I'm hoping. But I wanted to get these week 3 rankings out to you as they are hot off the press. And as you can see, it's still the Minnesota Vikings at our number 32 spot. But there's a lot of changes this week uh, as we move our way up. But the Vikings were not one of them, as they did not change from last week, and they are now 0-3 after losing at home to the Detroit Lions, which that's surprising, as the Lions are definitely playing better this season. But that was a 27-22 loss for the Vikings at home, and now they'll be going to London to take on the New Orleans Saints in Week 4. So we're going to see how that one shakes out for Andrew. But yeah, it's been a tough season so far for the Purple, and not really with the way you want to hit the ground running. I know there was some issues in Week 1, but the last couple weeks just haven't seemed like him. I'm thinking he's probably ready for a change to 2K23. But speaking of 2K23, I've had a couple questions about the season and where things are going to go in the next week or so here when the game does get released. Some people will probably get the early access on the 11th. Others will wait till the 14th. What's going to happen is week 5 is going to uh, wrap up our time on 2K21. So it's been real. It's been good. I don't know if it's been real good, but for some it has been, and for others probably not so much. But in the words of Sheryl Crow, I think for the Vikings a change will do them good. Uh, but as it is, we're going to be transferring to the new game after week 5, and we will be picking up with a double shot of games on week. Basically, at the end of October, we're going to pick things up. I believe the season's going to take a hiatus, so we're going to go on a little bit of a break to get everybody, a chance to figure out if they're going to continue in the league with the new game, or if they're going to uh, not continue, and then I'll have to end up finding, a replacement. But as it is, I think I only have like one player so far that's pretty much told me that they may not be returning, when the season does relaunch again. So, and I'll have a contingency plan for that. But as it is, week 5 will be the last week on 2K21. I believe that's going to wrap on the week of the launch of the new game. So I believe we're going to kick off week 5 uh, this Wednesday, which, well, obviously is tomorrow as I'm filming this. So, and then that'll wrap up uh, the following the following Wednesday. So, and then we'll be able to sink our teeth into a new game. So I'll be excited to see how that goes. Uh, Try to get your games in before the new game if possible, just because I don't really want to be chasing people down. Uh, as it is, I know it's going to be a little bit hectic, juggling between two games, but as it is, yeah, just try to get it done as soon as possible. If you want to play a little earlier, I have had a couple people reach out to me about that as well, just to get their conditions for week 5 already. So that's definitely possible too, just to get it out of the way. But once we're into the 2K23, it's going to be double shot weeks. Uh, Week 6 and 7 will be commencing, I believe, October 27th. Uh, that's pretty much. I'm going to probably do my due diligence on that to make sure that everybody's ready to go, because we may have issues with some players maybe not being ready to go or not. As it is, I'm going to stick to the date as much as I can. I really don't want to go any further out, because then we're just really going to be stretching things really thin, and you're going to be playing other rounds on top of this league as well. So two games I don't think is that much to ask for getting about a 2 week break. So I think everybody will be acclimated to what's going on by then anyway. So, but as it is, it'll be week 6 and 7 combined into 1 week, and then weeks 8 and 9 will also be combined into 1 week. So by then we'll see if the tours are up and running. If we're gonna have handicap or not, that's gonna determine. I'm gonna have to determine that at some point. If the tours do relaunch around the time we relaunch our season, I'll probably try to integrate what they're doing with our league in terms of difficulty and in terms of uh, handicaps. Because if somebody is clearly picking up the game a lot faster than somebody else in the league, I really do believe that I think the handicaps are going to have to stay. Just at least until, we get through this season because not everybody's going to have the time to level up their player. Not everybody's going to have the same amount of commitment to that as other people, or some people are going to probably have their guy maxed out within a couple days, whereas others it might take them a little bit more time. So I think, and then I kind of want to see what the tours do as well regarding that. If uh, there's going to be any restrictions or anything with swing, or if they're going to allow 3 click, or if they're not going to allow 3 click, or if they're going to go master, or if they're going to go legend, or pro am, or whatever they're going to decide. So, but that's just kind of an overarching view of what's going on in the league right now, heading into the the fall break. So that'll be interesting to see how, you know, the first 5 weeks were kind of, maybe like, kind of like a farewell to this game, which I think has gone really well, but unfortunately it hasn't gone that well for the Vikings. But we'll see if they can bounce back in week number 4. As we now move up to number 31, we're going to get things moving with the countdown here. It's the Houston Texans of the Taft man. Paul took a tumble here this week, 4 spots from number 27 after losing at Chicago 31 to 22. So the Bears really put a whooping on them. The Texans are now 0 and 3 after that loss on the road. Uh, it wasn't so much what the Bears did as it was what the Texans did. It was just a kind of a tough performance there because I know Paul's getting a lot of points in handicap, so maybe thought he could have maybe made that a little bit more, made that a little closer. Plus, he was playing another Xbox player, so I thought maybe that would be a little bit more of a, especially after week 2, giving Denver a big run. I thought maybe he was turning the corner, but as it is, it could be just, it's probably just a performance to forget there. We're getting toward the end of this game, and some days tempo isn't as good as others either, and that's another thing that hopefully the new game fixes as well. So, but as it is, going into week 4, Paul will now take on the Los Angeles Chargers at home. So another Xbox player. Uh, Basically, Paul gets to do the father and son challenge here, taking on both Taylors. So that's going to be tough, as they're both tough customers in this league right now, as they are. I think they've only lost, I think they're 4 and 2 is a combined record right now. So, and I'm pretty sure the Bears probably had no business really losing one of their games, as the Packers really pulled one out there. So we'll see if Paul can turn things around before the end of this game in Week 4. But it's going to be difficult, and we'll see if he can do it. But right now, the AFC South is looking like maybe a changing of the guard. But as it is, we're moving into a new game, so you can't really say too much right now in terms of what's going to happen in the next month or two. So right now, it's just not looking really good though for Houston. Houston, we have a problem. As we now move to number 30 on that horrible joke, but it was fitting. It's the Arizona Cardinals of Art. Hopefully he stuck around a little bit longer through my opening, and my uh, monologue there. But now, Art, after this, you can safely turn the dial if you'd like. But you are up one spot this week, though, after losing on the road. Actually, no, losing at home to the Rams. Kevin took you down 24-23. Just clipped the Cardinals' wings on that. That was a tough loss. I know those two have a pretty good division rivalry, and it just didn't work out this time for them to be able to hook up online and play. But I know Art usually gives a pretty good run in a live match, but this time around it was a 1 point nail biter, but this time it went to the Rams. So now Art will go on the road at the Carolina Panthers and Josiah. So Art getting to take on some PC players here before the end of this game, which is pretty cool. The PC guys are sticking together. We'll see what happens here, though. Josiah is really hungry for that first win, and he's been playing pretty solid. So we'll see how things go here. As it's going to be interesting to see if the Panthers can finally get that first win. Someone's got to win. I mean, you could have a tie, but as it is, we'll find out in week 4 as the Hail Murray could return. We'll see. As we now go up to number 29, let's find out who we have here. Another team that's probably looking forward to this game being done. It's the New York Jets of David, who are down one spot this week after losing at home. Seems to be a theme against the Bengals, 25-23. The defending champs came in to East Rutherford and put it on them, and the Jets went down to 0-3 after that loss. So, yeah, as it is, the Jets, usually never this low in the rankings, and this is a first for them as well. Between them and the Vikings, I don't know what the bigger surprise is, but I think those are our two biggest disappointments in the season so far, in terms of past history in the league. But who knows? I mean, maybe in the new game they turn this whole thing around. And the good thing is it's a 17 game season, and we're not even a third of the way through it. So the Jets can definitely, still, course correct and, turn things around and prevent this season from crashing and burning. As they'll now take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, so it doesn't get any easier for them. As now they get to go on the road at Pittsburgh, another team that's playing solid right now and definitely looking to add to their win total. So now we'll move up to number 28. And let's find out who we have here. Well, it's the aforementioned Carolina Panthers and Josiah, who are up one spot this week after a very tough loss at home to the New Orleans Saints in overtime, 33-27 on a touchdown in overtime by the Saints. Josiah is definitely improving. You can see that. He's definitely got the enthusiasm uh, needed to turn the season around for himself, and to get that first win. I really think it's going to happen soon for him. But as it is, still looking for it. And next he'll be taking on Art and the Arizona Cardinals, as we just mentioned previously. So I think that's going to be a pretty good battle at home for Carolina. Definitely a good candidate there to get that first win and get that coach off the hot seat. So as it is, Carolina at number 28 this week. As we now move up to number 27, and this is probably another big surprise, as this is probably the lowest he's ever been ranked. It's the Miami Dolphins of Coinhen, Zach, who's down 11 spots after losing at home to Buffalo, 21-19. Yikes! Oh, that's a tough performance at home there, and yeah, not used to seeing that out of Zach, especially in a live game, as he took on the Bills live. The Dolphins are now 1-2 and looking to keep pace in the AFC East. right now, no one's really lighting the world on fire in that division. So it's probably a little bit of a blessing in disguise, maybe, that he's in that division. But as it is, the Vikings, the Dolphins are just struggling a little bit right now to find their way. And with some of the controversy going on around that franchise, you got to wonder if that's not having an effect. So as it is, they'll now be playing at Cincinnati in Week 4. So this is definitely a chance to turn things around and get back to 500. As right now the Dolphins are at 1-2 and down 11 spots this week, and that's tied for the biggest tumble in the rankings. So at least the Dolphins got that going for them, which is nice. But as well, well, maybe not so nice for them anyway. But now we'll move up to number 26 and find out who we have next here. Well, they're right next door. It's the Dallas Cowboys of Sky Blue Ben, who are 1-2 right now. They dropped 2 spots this week after losing on the road at the Giants in Tag Rocket. Really no shame in that, as they lost by a field goal, 26-23. So they gave a pretty good effort. It was a divisional game, so there's a lot on the line there as well, just as there was in the Dolphins-Bills game that just was mentioned. But yeah, division games early on in the season definitely do matter. Uh, they're huge for tiebreakers, and you only get 6 divisional matchups, so you got to take advantage when you get them. And definitely, unfortunately for the Cowboys, they were not able to do that this time around in the Big Apple. But now they'll be taking on. Now the Cowboys will be taking on the Commanders at home. So Washington will be coming in. Definitely an opportunity here for the Cowboys to right the ship and get back to 500. And we'll see if Ben can get rowdy in week number 4. As we now head up to number 25, let's find out who we have here. It's a little bit surprising that they didn't really move up too much after their win, but it's the Buffalo Bills at number 25. They're circling the wagons and staying right where they are from last week. They're 1-2 right now. Maybe not the most impressive win, but a win is a win, and the Bills Mafia will take it as they did defeat Miami by 2 points on the road, 21-19 in the key divisional matchup there in the AFC East. So now it gets a little bit tougher as now the Bills will head to Baltimore, a team that has been playing pretty well so far this season, and that's going to be an interesting battle of a couple mobile quarterbacks there. We'll have to see what happens in Week 4 with that matchup. That'll be an interesting one. As we now head up to number 24, and this is a team that's also had a pretty big tumble this week, actually tied for the largest tumble in the losers section. It's the Atlanta Falcons of Prouse, down 11 spots after losing on the road at Seattle, 24-19. Really didn't give much of a performance there. Really tough. Must have really just had a hard time traveling across the country again for 2 weeks in a row, and the schedule makers really didn't do them any favors. So Atlanta does drop to 1-2. It's an NFC matchup there, but it's not a divisional one, so it doesn't really cost them too much. But yeah, you really just I thought maybe they put up a little bit more points on the board there, but as it is, it's still early, and the Falcons will now be going back home to the nest, so that'll help to take on the Cleveland Browns, which that's a difficult matchup right there for them. So we'll see if the Falcons can stay with them and maybe move up in this list a little bit next week. As we now head to number 23, a team that's kind of having some ups and downs here at the beginning of the season. It's the Las Vegas Raiders at number 23. Lucas is down 1 spot this week after losing at Tennessee 30-22. Wow. They allowed a 30 burger, but it was on the road. So at the end of the day, the Raiders, yeah, they just ran into a buzzsaw and are now 1-2 in, the league. Oh boy, and now they have to play Denver, so that's going to be a key divisional matchup in Week 4. That's a big rivalry there between the Raiders and the Broncos. So we're going to see how that goes in Week 4. I'm kind of interested to see if Lucas can bounce back and get things going again after that tough. Uh, after the Titans basically took them to the woodshed. But we'll see. Will the Raiders walk the plank or not? I mean, at the end of the day, it's still early, and they have a key matchup now coming up at home, so that'll help. As it is now, we're going to move up to number 22, and we'll find out who we have here. Maybe a little bit of surprise, but it's the Pittsburgh Steelers of Pat Strife. They're only down one spot. They're at 1-2 right now after losing at Cleveland, 28-25. Really thought that was going to be a really close game, but it just didn't seem like Pittsburgh was able to get anything really going on the road there. And now they'll be taking on the Jets at home. So maybe a little bit of a chance to bounce back there in Week 4 for the Steelers. But yeah, I'm surprised these guys are so low right now. I think the schedule was pretty tough on them to start off the season, and I think the Steelers are also probably another team that's looking to the future and looking. They're kind of rebuilding now, but we'll see. I mean, maybe they can turn it around in the new game and get on a big streak. You never know. As the Steelers are definitely a team you don't want to take lightly. As we now move up to number 21, kind of moving things along just a little bit because I know I'm kind of going a little bit long on some of my descriptions and whatnot. But we got the Washington Commanders of Gatorman who are down 10 spots. I want to shout him out. I know he's was in the middle of that weather event last week, that hurricane. Hope everybody that was involved in that is doing okay. By the way, our thoughts are definitely with you, and I know that's just cannot imagine the devastation right now. And I just I hope everybody's doing all right that's involved in the league and otherwise. But yeah, definitely. Your thoughts are definitely we are definitely in our thoughts. That's for sure. But yeah, as mentioned, the Commanders down 10 spots this week after a tough loss in overtime. Just wow, that was a tough one. They lost 32 to 26. So yeah, you really can't, and it was against Philadelphia, which was a divisional matchup, which that it probably wasn't deserving of moving down 10 spots, but there's been so much fluctuation this week with some of the teams moving up and some of the teams moving down that early on in this season it's really not, anything to really worry about, as your ranking will eventually start to settle down as the season goes along. But 3 weeks in, I'm still trying to gauge, how people compare to each other. And at this point, the Commanders, they were near the top 10, and now they're trying to stay in the top 20 after that loss. On basically that loss at home against the actually yeah, it was against the Eagles at home. So now the divisional matchups continue in the NFC East for the Commanders as they'll now go at Dallas to take on Sky Blue Ben. We'll see how that one goes in week number 4. I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup between two players that are going to give it all they got. And I know Gatorman's looking to move back up and is excited to be in this league. And I'm really happy, that he's here. And we'll see if he can get back to 500 after that loss to the Eagles. Now we hit the top 20, and this is a team that, kind of had a rough start to begin the season, but they really turned it around in week 3 after a win on the road. It's the San Francisco 49ers of Crushtastic, who are up 10 spots. That's the biggest gain of the week after beating Denver on the road 26-23, which that was really impressive there, and that was a big bounce back for them, as I think Jason really needed that. And he'll look to continue that momentum at home against the Los Angeles Rams in a key divisional matchup on Monday Night Football. So we'll see if the Niners run can continue here on the final hurrah here for, possibly for Jason if he's not with us after the transition. But we'll see. I mean, you never know. Plans can change. But at the end of the day, kudos to him for getting the Niners back to number 20. As we now move up to number 19, well, who do we have? A player that we all know. It's the New England Patriots of Franz, who are up 7 spots this week after an impressive win at home against the Baltimore Ravens, 25 to 24. So that's a big AFC matchup there, a possible playoff preview, and Franz came out on top. So he's got to feel good about that. Heading now into his matchup at Green Bay, a team that is very up and down in their own right. So as it is, the Patriots kind of stumbled a little bit out of the gate, but now they're looking to reestablish and get back to 500. And who knows? I mean, they could do it. They could definitely do it, as Franz is definitely capable of making a run. And he's already been in the playoffs, and I'm thinking this year, hey, he could take it even further. So as it is, good job to the Patriots. And now we move up to number 18, and a team that we just mentioned a little bit earlier. It's the Philadelphia Eagles of Zuby. He's up 5 spots this week after a big win at Washington, as previously mentioned. They're 2-1 now in the NFC East, so they're keeping pace with the New York Giants, which is impressive, which and good for them. And we'll see if they can keep this positive momentum going at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 4. So that's going to be a tough one for the Eagles, as the Jaguars are really playing well right now and are definitely one of the top teams. They had a stumble in Week 3, but Corey can come out and put up points at any time. So we'll see if the Eagles can match them, and if things are looking up here in Philly. As we now move up to number 17, a team that's coming off a big win. Who do we have here? It's the Seattle Seahawks of Mark, who's up 3 spots after the win at home against the Falcons, 24 to 19. A very impressive defensive performance there, keeping the the Atlanta Falcons below 20 points there. That's impressive. So the Seahawks now are tied for the division lead out in the NFC West. So kudos to them for that. And next they'll be taking on the Detroit Lions on the road. So that's not going to be an easy one, as the Lions are usually pretty tough at home. And in this league, the Lions are usually a playoff a playoff perennial playoff team. So unlike their real life counterparts, but CF's got them playing pretty good right now as well. And we have not heard from them yet on this power ranking show, but we will shortly. That's just a quick preview there. But good job there to Horus Phoenix there, or Anubis Phoenix, whichever Egyptian. I mean, he's already got, now he's going to have to deal with the Sun God, because now he's got to go to Detroit to deal with Amon Ra. So we'll see. This is a kind of a battle of Egyptian proportions here coming up in week number 4, as the Seahawks try to keep their momentum going. And next, well, it's number 16. We're at the halfway point here, and this is a team I know pretty well. Unfortunately, not a very good week for them. It's the Green Bay Packers, down 8 spots this week after losing on the road at Tampa Bay in the Bay of Pigs, 25-22. It was just a tough goal for them on the road, as Rodgers really couldn't really get anything going. Uh, the Packers are now 2-1, so still good for the division lead. But yeah, you really don't want to lose games on the road to a team you might face later on in the playoffs. So we'll see. But as it is, Chinatown played really well. The defense, Tampa Bay, very tough, and just really couldn't get much offense going down in the uh, down in Tampa there, as there was all kinds of tough conditions going on around there. But as it is, the Packers are going to try to bounce back in Week 4 against the New England Patriots at home. We'll find out. Rumor has it that one is going to be played live, so we'll see how that turned out in the next show. But as it is, the Packers take a tumble this week as they head down to number 16. Now we head to number 15 and we stay in the NFC North. And it's a team we just mentioned. It's the Detroit Lions of CF, who are up 4 spots after beating the Vikings on the road 27-22. So a big divisional win there for CF. And next, he'll be taking on the Seattle Seahawks at home. So again, that's going to be the Egyptian battle, and it'll be interesting to see who can take that one in the Motor City. As we now move up to number 14, a team that had a little bit of a tumble as well. It's the Kansas City Chiefs of Kike, who are down 8 spots after losing at the Colts 26-24. Now maybe a little bit more of a penalty for a close game there, but the rankings right now, there's a lot of fluctuation, and I think the Chiefs are going to be a solid going forward. But as it is, they're at 2-1 right now in the AFC West, so they're fine. They're definitely, it's still early yet. As it is, they all have a chance to go on the road now to take on a Tampa Bay team that's feeling pretty good right now at undefeated. So we'll see if the Chiefs can knock the Buccaneers out of the ranks of the unbeaten's. As that's a little bit of a Super Bowl revenge game there from real life. So we'll see if the Chiefs Kingdom can get things righted. But as it is, they're at number 14 this week and had a pretty big drop. But there was a lot of movement in this week's rankings. So the Chiefs, I think, will be fine going forward here. As we now move up to lucky number 13, let's find out who we have here. Well, it's everybody's favorite conspiracy theorist, the Los Angeles Rams of Cup and Up, who loves to stir the pot. He's up 5 spots in this week's rankings, so really no conspiracy there, as the Rams won at Arizona 24-23 and are now up to 2-1 now. And now they're at San Francisco, which is a big divisional rival there. I mean, I'd say between Cup and Up, and Franz, those are like the two conspiracy theorists in the league. So, but as it is, hey, they're both moving up in the rankings. So maybe the truth is finally coming out, and maybe them getting that off their chest is helping them. But as it is, the Rams now are at number 13 and have a chance to take that top spot in the NFC West, or at least tighten their grip on it and get another divisional win, possibly on the road at a pretty tough opponent now, who's feeling pretty good again in Jason Crushtastic. As we now move up to number 12, well, we go right next door to the Baltimore Ravens of Eddie, who are down 7 this week after that tough loss on the road at New England, 25-24. Yeah, that was a close game, and moving down 7 from a close game like that is tough. But it just goes to show how competitive this league is week in and week out. And there's so many teams right now at 2-1 that it's kind of a coin flip at times to rank some of these. But as it is, I think Eddie's doing fine at 2-1, and uh, basically a game out in the AFC North right now, as the undefeated Browns are leading the way in that division, and we'll get to them later. But as it is, we'll see if the Ravens can get back to their winning ways against the Bills at home this week. That'll be an interesting one in week 4. But the Bills really haven't been playing their best this year so far, and the Ravens have looked pretty good. So uh, the probably not a bad time for a bounce back game for the Ravens. As we now move up to number 11, let's find out. It's Why So Serious. Austin at number 11, down 7 spots. The Denver Broncos are at 2-1 now after losing to the 49ers at home. A little bit disappointing there, 26 to 23. But they'll have a chance now at Las Vegas to keep that AFC West in their grasp and get a big divisional win on the road. So we'll see if the Broncos can get that losing taste out of their mouth from week 3 and turn things around in week 4 and let Russ cook again. As we now move into the top 10, well, who do we have? Well, kind of a surprise, but it's one of our bigger droppers this week, and they drop a full 9 spots. The team that was number 1 last week is down to number 10 after losing at the Los Angeles Chargers, 28 to 25. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars of Corey. They're at 2-1. Uh, Definitely, it's tough when you drop that much after a 3-point loss, but that just tells you that there's a lot of movement in these rankings from week to week right now. But as it is, the Jaguars did not play terrible, but it just was not enough to keep up with a tough Chargers team on the road. But we'll now see if the Jaguars can turn things around and move back up as they'll now go on the road at Philadelphia. So definitely a chance there to get back to the winning ways and uh, make Tony Khan happy again. As we now move up to number 9, well, it's the team that just was mentioned who defeated the Jaguars. It's the Los Angeles Chargers at number 9. Old Man Gaming, Allen is up 8 spots this week. Nice big jump there to 2-1 after beating the Jaguars. That's what you got to do if you want to move up. Is if you knock off the number 1 team, that's definitely going to help. But now they'll have to go on the road at Houston. So we'll see. This is another good matchup for Old Man Gaming for Allen if he can get another win over an Xboxer. Definitely will make their record look really good in that AFC West. And can't look past anybody though in this league. And Paul's definitely capable of putting up some big points. So especially at home. So we'll see what happens here in week number 4. As we now move into the top 8, who do we have at number 8? Well, it's the Indianapolis Colts of Pizer, who are up 7 spots. Scott's 2-1 right now after beating the Kansas City Chiefs at home 26 to 24. Some might call that an upset. I don't really think it was. I think Pizer's been playing pretty solid here for the last few months now. Definitely played pretty solid over the summer. So the Colts, I don't think there was too much horseshoe luck involved here. I think it was a pretty solid performance. And now they'll have a chance to clash with their AFC South division rivals, the Tennessee Titans, at home. This is pretty big right now, as the Titans are now leading the division, but the Colts are looking to tie that thing up and make that thing even tighter than what it was before. So we'll see how that goes. But the Titans definitely are looking great so far early on in the season, and I don't believe we've heard from them yet in this ranking show. So I think we'll be getting to them in a little bit here. But as it is, we have the Colts at number 8, and now let's find out who's number 7. Well, it's our defending champions, the Cincinnati Bengals of Airsy Boy, who are up 7 spots this week. So they took 7 down and they went 7 up. So as it is, definitely a yo-yo ride right now for the Bengals, but they're 2-1 and looking pretty good after beating the Jets on the road 25-23. They're going to try to keep that momentum going at home against the Dolphins, as Miami hasn't really looked too good so far this year. So If they can just take care of business in the jungle, I think the Bengals are going to be just fine here going forward in the AFC North. So kudos to Airsy for taking that team over and leading them he's doing a good job at the helm right now and looking to keep that top 10 ranking going into week number 4. As we now move up to number 6, a team that's probably never been this high in the rankings before, but they're playing very solid right now, and that's the New Orleans Saints of Greg, who are up 6 spots this week after beating the Panthers on the road in overtime 33-27. Now that wasn't an easy task as the Saints were definitely giving up some points there and they were on the road. So as it is, you got to give the Saints some credit there as they're staying with it in the NFC West this year. Actually, in the NFC South, I should say. They have not. They used to be in the West back in the day, but now they're in the NFC South, and they're staying with the Buccaneers right now. So we'll see. If the Saints can continue to march this week, as they now have a pretty favorable matchup at home against the Vikings, who are really struggling right now. So, and that one's the London game. So we'll see if the Saints will keep marching in and maybe marching up these rankings still. But this is probably the highest they've ever been. So kudos to Greg on this number 6 ranking. As we now move into the top 5, we have we have a team, and we have an owner that knows this area pretty well. He's our defending NFC champion, the New York Giants of Tag Rocket, up 5 spots this week to number 5 at 2-1 after beating Dallas at home 26-23, and they'll keep the home cooking going hopefully as they now play the Bears, who are really putting up points in bunches right now. So it's going to be interesting to see if the home cooking helps here for the Giants. As right now, I know they're going through some injury troubles, but that Giants defense and that Giants mentality at home is tough. So we'll see if that wins out for Big Blue and the G-Men, as they are now on number 5 in these rankings, and now we'll be taking on a Chicago Bears team who just so happens to be ranked at number 4 this week, as Austin has been playing very impressive right now. And the Bears are up 5 spots this week after beating Houston 31-22 at home. I mean, a 9-point win in NFL Stableford is almost unheard of. And the Bears have cemented themselves now as the top 2-1 team right now, as the rest of the teams left on this that are left to be ranked are undefeated. So as it is, the Bears have been playing lights out right now, and probably their biggest matchup of the year outside the Green Bay game, which was a divisional game, is at the New York Giants. This could have playoff implications down the road here in the NFC, and I'm very interested to see how this one ends up for the Bears and for the Giants, for that matter. So as it is, the Bears check in at number 4. Let's find out who number 3 is as we get an air. And we'll get right back to the show here. As we hit the number 3 spot, we got a quick pause in the action here, but that's okay.
Choose the team you want to start your franchise with.
Well, the team I'm going to choose right now for number 3, as the servers are down. That's wonderful, EA. You're doing a great job interrupting my show. But we'll see if
Choose the team you want to start your franchise with.
Okay, I think this should be good now. The number 3 team in the NFL Stableford Week 3 Power Rankings is none other than drumroll please, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of Chinatown. Now, we know he's been ranked number 1 before in this league, but now he's back again in the top echelon of teams, as he's now up 4 spots this week with the Buccaneers at 3-0 after beating the Packers at home 25-22. So can they keep this going now is the question against the Kansas City Chiefs at home. It's looking really good right now. for the Buccaneers to maybe keep moving up. So we'll see what happens in Week 4. But as it is, they're leading the NFC South, so they got to be feeling good about that. And Chinatown's been playing really well right now at a very difficult venue. So I got to give them credit for that. As it is, number 3, nothing to feel bad about. I mean, that's an awesome ranking for the Buccaneers. Uh, and Chinatown for that matter, as he definitely is well deserved, well deserving of this number 3 ranking after the impressive win he was able to pull off at home. And as it is now, we're going to move up to number 2. Let's find out. It's the Cleveland Browns of Insane Eric, who stay right where they are after a win at home against the Steelers, 28-25. Now, that could have been grounds for moving up to number 1, but there was only one more performance that I thought was a little bit more impressive, and we're going to find it out in a little bit here. But the Dog Pound very happy with what's transpired this season so far, as the Browns are on top of the AFC North and at 3-0, they're looking really good right now. And now they get to go on the road at Atlanta, a team that's been struggling a little bit, but going on the road, it's still not an easy task in this league, and we'll see if the Browns can maybe get up to that top spot in Week 4, possibly. We'll have to find out. But now, this leads to the number 1 team in the NFL Stableford League after Week 3. It's the Tennessee Titans of Platypus Brigade, tightening up 2 spots from last week at 3-0 after a big win at home against the Las Vegas Raiders, 30. That's right, 30-22. So 2 burgers that were not needed, that did not need overtime. Now we did have one other overtime. We had a 33-point game, but that needed overtime. But as it is, a 30 burger without having to use overtime is just impressive, and was probably the main reason why the Titans are at number 1 this week, as they have been putting up points in bunches. Don't call them the Flaming Thumbtacks anymore. These guys are for real, and congratulations to Platypus Brigade on the number 1 ranking now, as they'll have to take on, well, they can't congratulate themselves too much, as now they have to go on the road at Indianapolis, their division rival, to try to stay undefeated and stay on top of the AFC South. Well, that's going to do it, everybody, for the Week 3 NFL Stableford League Power Ranking Show. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Once again, this has been Lefty79, the commissioner of the NFL Stableford League. And I want to thank you for staying with me through this journey of the Week 3 Power Ranking Show, and I'll be back before you know it for week number 4. I want to thank you again for sticking with it, with the league, and wow, we're moving towards a new game, and it's only going to be about 10 days away. So, if that, I mean, it's actually going to be about 8 days away from now. Less than that, about a week. So as it is, I want to thank you again for joining me, and this has been Lefty79. Goodbye, everybody, and I will see you down the road.